Hey, we're live, everybody. I am here with Thien-Lan Weber of One Step Checkout and Benno Lipert of Cobby.
Yeah.
How's it going, you guys?
Great.
Awesome. So shoot, we're talking about well, we're going to talk One Step Checkout. We're going to talk about, obviously both of you guys are extension people, extension companies, and both in XTDN, Extension Developer Network. So a lot of fun stuff to talk about. Magento 2. We'll talk Adobe maybe a little bit if we get to it. So where do we start? Thien-Lan, start us off. Tell the people a little bit about yourself. You have a pretty interesting background. You've been all over the world a couple times.
So yeah, it's, when people ask me where you're from, it's I said, oh, do you have 10 minutes? Because it's going to be long. So my background is Vietnamese, and I was born in Paris. I lived there for 25 years. I studied there and started working there in management consultancy with Accenture. And then I met my husband. He relocated to Australia. So I quit my job and moved to Australia with him. And I thought consultancy is a bit boring, PowerPoint. So I learned a few things. But my passion is fashion and beauty. So I wanted to do, hardcore marketing, work with creatives and pictures and colors and stuff. So I joined Clarins, which is a prestige skincare, French brand. And that was in Sydney. So I worked there for a while. And then I moved to Johnson & Johnson, which is one of the top companies in the world. Launched a few skincare brands there. And then, so that was probably 10 years, right, after I graduated. And then I got approached to work at eBay. And that was amazing. That was 2007. And that's the best thing that happened to me. I stepped into e-commerce and I learned everything at eBay, SEO, digital marketing, everything. I was looking after the brand. That was great. And I made amazing friends there. And then I moved to PayPal. So that was very interesting as well. And then my husband decided he wanted to go back to Europe. So it was kind of a midlife crisis before his midlife. And we were like, okay, let's do that. So we both quit our job in Australia. And we moved back to Europe where we have our family and friends. And we spent 1 year in Zurich. And then he got a job offer in Oslo. So we all moved with our 2 kids to Oslo. And that's where I met One Step Checkout. So here I am.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. You've been all over. I remember when we first chatted and you kind of told me about your background. I was like, wow, like you've worked at some really big companies, and One Step Checkout has an incredible reputation in the Magento community, but it's a smaller company, right? So they've got quite a powerful marketer in you, having the background that you have. Lucky to have you.
Thank you.
And Benno, what's your story, man?
Where to start? So when referencing Clarins, I also worked for them, but as a payroll consultant at some point. back in 2001, I guess, and it was for a human resources company. We did time and attendance recording, and I was responsible for the development of the web interface. Actually, there it was an employee self-service portal, and Clarins did use it, and I think it's still somehow with them at least. But the company got acquired from other companies, and now it's Infonica or something like that. So it was where I got in touch with web development, and that was back in 1998. So quite a long time. And since then, I did another position as a solution consultant for the same company. When was hired by a company group to become a business analyst there. So I did lots of stuff with business intelligence, ETL, and Excel, obviously. And as a sidekick, we did, also CMS projects at that time with Joomla and e-commerce projects with Virtualmart. And then we thought it's a really time-consuming task to manage all the stuff in a web interface. And my founding partner, Dima, and I, we had the crazy idea to maybe we could mash up a desktop application with this web solutions and build a prototype that was able to manage Joomla and Virtualmart entities from the desktop with push notifications and stuff like that. So that was in 2009, and then we founded our company Mesh2 because we mashed two things together.
That's the meaning behind that name.
And also we were two founders. So that was the story behind founding this whole company. And this was in 2010. And one of the biggest projects we did at that time was a mass customization startup. So they do garments and fashion. So there is another link to Thien-Lan. And another link we have here is that we used Adobe Scene 7 at that time to do the digital image rendering and publishing stuff. And we won an Internet Innovation Award for this whole integration. And that was in the beginning of 2012. And since then, we developed a software as a service company who does catalog management in Excel, and I talked a lot about it during one of the first Commerce Hero shows, I guess. So that's in short.
Nice. That's awesome, man. So what's Magento, 2 has been upon us now for a while. How has the integration gone for you guys? Marketplace, what are some of those? We'll start with Thien-Lan. How's that gone for you?
So marketplace. So yeah, it's been interesting. It's been interesting, but what is good is all the stuff which is coming. So marketplace, in terms of distribution, is not as strong as Magento Connect. That was really strong for us back in the days. But very quickly, we got in touch with the team and worked together with them to say, hey, it's our common interest to make sure that we can sell our extension and that merchants find good quality extensions. So let's see what we can do. And in the meantime, we heard lots of stories from other extensions. So we collected them, and now we're involved with XDN, Extension Development Network. And we are kind of the voice of developers, and we can, talk to, we started to build relationship with the marketplace team to be the voice of developers and say, this is not working, this is what we'd like to see. And so at Imagine, we had a very nice chat. And we were very surprised to see that all our asks and all our complaints had already been taken into account, and improvements are rolling out this summer. So we're like, if we knew, we wouldn't have complained that much. But how come no one knows? So now
they're working on some interesting things with the next version landing in the summer.
Yeah.
And it's Matthew in the Matthew in the live chat said M2 core checkout is really bad, so I'd expect one-step checkout to do quite well. Have you guys heard people running into issues with the core checkout? Like, well, I'm sure you probably deal with that a lot, but what are you hearing from customers as far as issues with the core checkout? So this is your chance to bash the core so that everybody will.
So what I see are the orders that are coming through. So I don't directly, talk technical stuff. I don't code, but what I see is that there's demand for our extension. So that's pretty good. What I also see is our developers, so mainly Anton, who's our M2 expert, it's been really hard for him. So, he's been developing that product for
He's been crying
months.
himself to sleep every night for the past
Exactly.
6 months.
And at some point we're like, oh, we are trailblazing. It's like new territories and no one knows how that works. So let's summon the superpowers of Alan Storm. So, we did a bit of work with him to keep going, because there were so many, how do you call that? Roadblocks, and we were going one way and it didn't work. We had to backtrack and go another way. So that was really, really hard. But then we got there, and that was
Did
really
Alan
cool.
Storm fix everything? Did he magically?
I think he helped on some parts.
Alan Storm dust. And
that helps. That helps. And but yeah, we got there, and I'm quite happy because yesterday I was looking for some live installations to show, and one is a cool brand, Timberland. Timberland, the shoes.
Oh yeah. So
timberland.co.nz, the New Zealand website. They have our M2 checkout, and it looks great. It's one page above the fold. Very few fields. It integrates with installment payments as well. But there they have a lay-by. So yeah, that looks really good. And another one that's in the US called Blue Sky. Do you know that brand?
Not sure. I'm not a very fashionable person though, so that's
not fashion. It's so their motto is like making your planning dreams come true. So they do calendars and planners and stationery and stuff like that.
I don't have a plan. I don't have a planner either. That's the only reason I haven't heard of them. I'm sure Benno has heard of them before though, because Benno's a big planner.
But yeah, they do stuff which is distributed at Staples and Officeworks and all that stuff. So it's a big brand in the US, and it's quite nice because we never heard from them. They didn't contact support, and they could customize it the way they wanted. So usually ours is one page and 3 columns, and here they did one long column, a bit like the native one, but everything is already preloaded, and on the right you have the order total. So they could play around, make it really nice, make it very user-friendly the way they want it, without even calling us and say, oh, can you help with that? So that was pretty cool.
Nice.
However, we're still facing massive challenges with compatibility, third-party extension compatibility. That's a nightmare. So what used to take hours with M1 takes now weeks with M2. That has been quite hard on us, because then now waiting time with support is much longer, and people are not very happy, and deep dives.
That's weird because that was sort of like the one thing that M2 was supposed to fix, extension compatibility, because you have the different structure. And Benno, you probably have some thoughts on this, but you've got you don't have the rewrite conflicts. You've got not the observers, whatever those other things are. Help me out, Ben.
Dependency injections. So the whole thing is dependency injection. But we also have hard times when it comes to multi-version and features, especially with enterprise, actually. So we are always trying to keep up with Magento development and trying to enhance our software, but it's like we've struggled a lot with breaking changes which have been introduced in almost every version for us. So we had to fix stuff. Maybe also, that's we had hard times, and I think we're on a good way now. But I'm really looking forward for 2.3 to consolidate lots of stuff, and also API. That's a big point for us. But thinking about extension that do front end stuff like the checkout, I see that this whole PWA wagon is really, that's a challenge, I guess, because nobody has a good plan how to do this and how to be interoperable with multiple extensions when everybody's building their PWA solution, actually. So this is really one of the hardest topics I see for the next 12 months.
Yeah, that's going to be disruptive. I mean, have you guys thought about that, Thien-Lan? How do you see PWA affecting things?
It could be an opportunity. So we already have key PWA players, chatting to us. And so on the commercial side, we're all super, excited. We're saying, oh, let's do something together. And so but the next step is to connect the technical guys and see, what's possible.
Okay. It's interesting because, like, for example, View Storefront is out and they have a checkout, I think. But there's no way that it could cover all the functionality that, because you deal with a lot of third-party integrations, you have a lot of stuff in there. So there's just this whole thing with this PWA thing is it's great to have this beautiful, fast, offline-friendly front end. But in terms of compatibility with all the things you got to be compatible with in checkout, it's just not, it's going to take some time. And I mean, it's possible things go the direction of, maybe your checkout is regular Magento, non-PWA, and everything else maybe is PWA.
That would be the Lizard and Pumpkins way. They do it the same.
That's interesting. And in some ways, that's sort of like the Shopify way, because like with Shopify, when you get to checkout, you're in a different, it's a different UI. You can't customize that UI. It's like a different domain. It's like, and then before you get there, you can do whatever the heck you want. But checkout is so critical. Yeah. So mission critical. I had a buddy that created a checkout extension called Awesome Checkout, cool checkout. And, great interface, great UI, but he ended up basically dropping it because it's too hard to support checkout. Like it's hard.
It's really hard.
And that's what you guys do.
Exactly. What we say is our support team is our number one asset. So those guys, they've been around since day one, since 2010. So they have like 8 years of experience, and every day they live and breathe checkout. And I guess the more you do it, the more experience and expertise and you get. And so it's a very interesting model because that's all we do, checkout. And so the people who develop the product are also those who do support. So every day, customer call in and they say, oh, can you fix that bug, blah, blah, blah. Or they're like, oh, how about this feature? And so they have a sense of what merchants want, and then they can prioritize it in the roadmap. And so that's pretty good to have that, first-hand insights from merchants.
Right. And then, of course, Benno, you're on the catalog management side of things, which is a whole other challenge. You don't have that same challenge of being in the checkout in the critical path of somebody making a purchase, but you guys do some pretty heavy lifting. Integrate. I think you were telling me what your biggest store was, well into the millions of products, right?
Yeah, it's 2.8 right now, 2.8 million SKUs. But this is this heavy lifting, and it's quite uncommon. But actually, yeah, it works for us. The front end isn't the part, because we are a back end replacement somehow, and we are our own front end in that sense. That's a key difference to whatever comes next. But what I see is like the whole things that are attaching to Magento right now, like either if it's MSI or if it's whatever B2B or whatever comes that way, that's changing the whole behavior of how the catalog works. You can imagine. And this is our main challenge. And the biggest problem is that all the APIs aren't set yet. And it's like really fast developing on Magento side. And it's in production already, like the staging feature and so on. And this is like getting us awake at night.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah,
do you think they're doing a better job? So like, it sounds like you're saying, Thien-Lan, there's extension conflicts are harder to resolve now. So maybe they're did a worse job with extension conflict handling. What do you think about the API? Do you think they're doing a better job with the API in M2? Obviously, 2.0 and 2.1 were brutal. I mean, and it sounds like there are a lot of breaking changes. Yeah, it sounds like things are a little better 2.2 and moving to 2.3. But Benno, what do you like? How do you feel about the API overall? Is there more coverage than the M1 API?
Yeah, it's so. I don't want to bash too much, but for us,
that's never good when you start out with "I don't want to bash too much."
Yeah. So I skip my last words. So we had to add a couple of improvements to Magento API to make it work, and that's the point here. So there's stuff is missing actually. So stuff was missing, and I think API wasn't on the highest priority when they launched M2.
Really?
That's the point. Yeah,
you're talking about 2.0?
2.0 to 1 to 2, and I'm really looking forward for 2.3, and we already see some improvements also coming from the community whether it comes to if you're able to create, for example, an attribute option or bulk update things. That's the things you're looking for, and we will get GraphQL in the whole PWA thing. That will be really helpful, I guess. And yeah, so API wise, it's good times ahead.
That's interesting, though. That I would think they'd be focusing on it heavily with the emphasis on headless, and with the Adobe acquisition, a lot of the direction that's going to go is the headless direction. Yeah. So that's sort of
that at least what Adobe was promising in Germany last year. We had a big fair here, and they did headless commerce powered by Adobe and Commercetools, which is another headless e-commerce system coming from Germany. It's used by Red Bull and other really big players, but it's only like a handful of things. And we also did an integration together with them. So that was one of the prototypes we did last year to see if our solution Cobby could maybe develop to something more, because almost all the headless approaches you see, either is it's lizard and pumpkins or whatever you have there, they have to somehow manage the catalog, and we have a catalog management solution which is somehow independent to Magento, and that was our first prototype to see if this could work anyhow.
Right. What are some of the things missing in the API?
So in the very beginning, it was from authentication to creating attribute options to bulk.
But like as of 2.2, what are some of the things missing?
So right now, I think the bulk updates are still missing, and regarding authentication,
bulk updates.
Bulk updates. Yeah. Okay. And we're still facing troubles regarding the authentication when it comes to htaccess protected sites before they are launched, and we are struggling with that, because then you have the bearer authentication of htaccess and another authentication layer, the regular authentication layer. So that's causing trouble sometime, and actually missing features then. The rest is almost missing features, and performance-wise, it was also not working in all the ways. And when right now, since we built our own API layer in most of the cases, we haven't adjusted to the latest Magento 2.2 APIs, because we rely on our own then, and we build wrapper objects around them. So the next time we will look deeply into API things, I guess, will be when 2.3 is settled.
Gotcha. Interesting. Well, hopefully progress is going in the right direction overall.
I think so.
Yeah. So Thien-Lan, you hinted a little bit at some PWA stuff. You're talking to some people. Sounds like you can't share too many details right now. What else is going on for you guys? What are you guys focused on?
So I guess that's a compatibility challenge. we're trying to solve it. And as Yise Retzma said, stop complaining, start contributing. So
I believe the word he used wasn't complaining.
Start with a B.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been actively rebooting Extension Developer Network to progress in those directions. So yeah, so we hope with contribution from everyone, we could start. So some of the reasons why we have compatibility issues is also the way other extensions are coded. So one of our major projects, a strategic priority, is to help people understand how to code with Magento 2. So we're working on coding standards and tools.
By the way, is this the extensions you're having issues with? Are these extensions that have passed through the whole marketplace review process?
With the extension developer network?
No, like the extensions you guys are conflicting with that you're saying they're not basically written properly. Are these extensions that, because the marketplace review has gotten more thorough, which is sort of an issue because now people are having to wait a long time for reviews. But in theory, it should be improving the quality of those. So I'm curious if the extensions you're conflicting with passed the marketplace review or if they're just random third-party extensions.
And that's a good question, but I think a lot of them are not on marketplace. And
okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
I don't think either. So the ones we are having the biggest trouble with are not on marketplace, actually.
Gotcha. Interesting. Gosh. Okay, that's interesting. Sorry, I just interrupted you, Thien-Lan, while you were talking.
Yeah, but so that's why Benno and I with Yise and Christophe, who founded XDN, we're quite excited about the reboot of the organization. We've been working since December on the new strategy and vision, and we're quite happy that where we're at and how people took it at Imagine. That was our big relaunch. I'm not a programmer, I'm not a developer, so where I can contribute is more with other skills like strategy and communication and stakeholder management. And that's why we're quite happy that we build relationship with marketplace. And that's not easy because I remember 2 years ago I spent like an hour talking to Bhavin in London, and then he left, and then now it's Pranav. So it's hard to find the right person, but so we hope that with the whole Adobe acquisition, Pranav stays on because we are totally aligned. We have the same goals. I think we clicked, and we could do great things and progress for the benefit of the whole community, as long as he stays on and we don't have to redo it with another person.
Stick around, Pranav. Stick around,
stick
please. How do you see the Adobe acquisition affecting you guys, specifically extension developers generally, or the community, broadly?
So yeah, there's a massive fear around killing open source, and in our extension developer network, we are 20 plus companies covering probably 100,000 Magento merchants, and I would say 90% of them are on community edition. So that's our bread and butter, and if open source and community edition doesn't stay, then we are jobless. And as Mark Lavelle says, the Magento economy is like 4 billion just generated by people, by jobs, from the Magento community. That's not the TPV or the GMV. That's just, there's 300,000 developers working on it. So, and it's, he was predicting that it would increase to 14 billion in 2020. So I hope that would stay, or that would even accelerate thanks to Adobe's, injection of cash and making things better, as opposed to the other way around. But that's me being optimistic. Otherwise, we'll have to pivot and find something else to do.
Are you generally an optimist or a pessimist?
Optimist.
Optimist.
For
Gotta
sure.
be. Gotta be. Benno, what do you think?
So regarding, it's almost the same point as Thien-Lan already mentioned. But what I, from my experience, learned from Adobe is that if they can make money out of it, it will work. And speaking about the Magento ecosystem in a whole, we all have seen those slides during Magento or during other conferences. I think the community is a big asset for them. So the only way that could conflict with them is they don't find ways to monetize it. But with, for example, a really well thought out marketplace, that wouldn't be a problem. And Adobe knows about third party extensions, developers for every and all of their products. And speaking about my experience with Adobe Scene 7 from 2011 or something, this was also a big software that was acquired by Adobe and really got into the whole Adobe ecosystem and was integrated. It took a while, but it's now really tightly integrated, and this will be a real benefit for the clients then. So we also already do stuff for Adobe. We have clients who do reports that are built on top of the Magento Catalog, which are exported to Adobe InDesign, and they do their price list, stickers, printing, whatever stuff there is.
Oh, nice.
So I think in general that this isn't a too big fear as long as we just help them to understand the value of the Magento ecosystem. And that's also one of the things we as an extension developer network are here for, to be mediator between the community and the merchants, because we are in touch with them every day, with the small merchants, with the community edition users, and open source, sorry. And I think we can share our vision, what we see in them, and the market potential to Adobe if they listen to us. So I think it's an opportunity, and things are changing. And what I really like about the acquisition is that Adobe is a product company, and it's not an investment fund like Permira or whatever there is. It's good to have such vehicles around when you want to grow and need cash. But if you want to stay for a long time, you really have to have a company backing you that's also sharing the same goals. And that's the case for Adobe. I don't think they want to sell it. They're acquiring it for strengthen their portfolio. So I think they're not kidding if they say they really see the value of the community.
Yeah,
it's a great point, because it means they can make longer term strategies. And so if you need to change things, you don't need to rush it and launch a product which is half finished or whatever. You can really take your time and do something great, because you have time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, it's like we have a permanent home in Adobe. We've been wandering through the desert for a few years, and we finally have a permanent home. It's interesting. Have you what is Scene 7, by the way? What does it do?
Scene 7 was digital image rendering. You could take a picture you just took, and then put a scene over it that also has geometric information in it, like a 3D model, and then define how you want to change the original picture. Like it's layers on top of something, and you could change lighting, you could change textures and so on. And you could add layers. If you think about a visual configurator for your home, then you could think of, okay, you have a pre-taken image that knows about the stuff, and you could place something in there and do some garment on the couch, for example, and see how it looks like. So that's nowadays it would be not as cool, but back in the days it was a great thing, and it was the predecessor of augmented reality, I guess.
Right.
You know,
That's interesting.
So today, like IKEA does the thing, you just take your smartphone, point it at your room, choose whatever you have there, and it places it directly into the scene. And back then it was like pre-rendered, or not pre-rendered, it was rendered on the fly via a cloud service, and that was this Scene 7 digital image rendering suite, something like that it was called.
Interesting. Thien-Lan, you've worked at a lot of big companies. Have you used Adobe Experience Manager at all?
No, so I wasn't like the designer or whatever. So I would work with, you know, advertising companies, and I'd say,
yeah, because as far as I understand, the Adobe Experience Cloud, you know, they've acquired some marketing companies, analytics companies, Omniture, and I never think of Adobe. I always think of them as the creative tools, but they have this whole arm of the company with CMS, digital asset management, marketing tools, and stuff like that. And so, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. So they also have with this whole digital image rendering, you could also, for example, have a letter written, a written letter looking like a written letter, actually generated on the fly, printed wherever, and put in your parcel. And those things are, for example, it's your birthday, Thien-Lan, and it takes like a couple of the latest products you purchased and sends you a voucher that all takes these assets you have in your Magento installation and just prints something that's really personalized to you. And this is something they have at Adobe. And also they have a couple of analytics and channel things, I think, in those suits nowadays.
Nice. Thien-Lan, you were going to talk a little bit about your the talk you gave at Meet Magento Germany.
I'm going to give a talk next.
Oh, you're going to give a talk.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So so it's I'm quite excited about it. So the less exciting thing is I'm one of 2 female speakers out of 42. So, you know, so yeah, there was a massive talk about it on Twitter. But yeah, I'm quite happy to be there, and I'm preparing big time. So I've got a few mentors. So last year at Magento Netherlands, I met John Woodall from Space 48. And he did a TED talk, and you know, he's a good speaker. So I said to him, oh, you know, what did you think of? So I spoke at Magento Netherlands as well. So I said, oh, what do you think of my talk? And he said, oh, the key thing is to tell a story. And same, I asked Alessandro Ronchi. And I said, oh, what are your key tips? And he said, you should buy that book called Talk Like a TED. So I did. I bought the book, and it's all about telling a story, you know, with emotions and, you know, characters and a plot and so on. So I'm currently preparing that talk, but I'm quite excited because it is a story. It's a story of a 65-year-old business, you know, so you don't have that quite often in Magento. So it was started by the grandfather, and today the grandson is running it. So that's pretty nice. And
I'm already interested. There is something about like a store, 65-year-old business. That's great.
Yeah. So, you know, the grandfather started it after the Second World War. And, you know, I got the client, the merchant to send me pictures of, you know, what it looked like back in the day. So it's quite nice. And where I'm very lucky is that the merchant is one of the top 10 luxury fashion retailers in Austria. So again, you know, luxury fashion, and I've been around. I've worked for lots of luxury companies, so that's quite. I'm quite passionate about that. And the last bit is and I just discovered it as I interviewed the merchant 2 days ago, is that the key person who grew the business is a woman. It's the
nice.
Yeah, the MD's mom. She was the one who grew the whole business for like 30 years, you know. So yeah, it's very, very nice. I'm still preparing it. So I had a bit of a panic before that because I was hoping I could have a video. You know, it's a fashion brand, so, you know, they have a a whole press department. I was hoping for a video and interview of the guy. Originally, he was supposed to come, on stage. And then when all fell apart, I was like, oh, what am I going to do? And so I'm going to tell the story.
Nice. That's awesome.
So that's on the 19th of June in Leipzig, in Germany.
Okay, awesome. Are you going to be there, Benno?
For
like
sure.
a good German? Awesome.
For sure. This is one of the major events you have to attend, besides Meet Magento Italy, which is happening today. And and one of my favorite, and also the first Meet Magento event worldwide was and is the Meet Magento Netherlands, which is coming next week. So we will also be there, and XDN will have a booth, and we're happy to see as many merchants or solution integrators to hear their stories about what can possibly go wrong when using a couple of extensions in M2. And we're here to get their complaints and see what we as an extension developer network can do to improve Magento and get on speed and resolving those extension conflicts. So that will be also another event on our way to Leipzig.
Nice.
And I have to say that the XDN booth is probably the only booth where we're not going to try and sell you anything. So, merchants, SI, just come, tell your stories. Benno he DIY'd a complaint box. Do you have it here? He made it this afternoon.
It's not ready yet. It's at home.
That's awesome.
He made it this afternoon, with cardboard and paper. It's going to be awesome. So.
That's so funny. All you're going to have is a complaint box, no swag, stickers.
Okay, we will have a couple of stickers. And we have a flyer for developers, do's and don'ts. So actually do's, what you should do for developing Magento 2 extensions. So
nice.
That's in the swag bag.
Nice.
But
that's awesome.
All pure information. It's nothing selling or something like that. And we're really looking forward for contributors to help us, even if you're not working at an extension developer company or whatever. Kalen, you are also a very warm welcome to see you on GitHub and the Encom Slack to improve our working groups.
Okay. Actually, speaking of that, have you guys had any time, Benno, to contribute? You talked about some of the issues with the API, and we know that the community is writing like 30% of the code base of Magento these days. Have you guys been able to do any contribution around that?
So we tried. We submitted like 3 or 4 pull requests, but it was before the whole Encom thing started, and they were all dismissed. We know like 2 years ago.
So this is a while ago. Yeah,
it was a while ago, and that since then we only had improved some dev docs and contributed with actually talks or hands-on. Or
so you basically went the route of doing your own extension for the API layer, and that's the thing. I mean, so sorry.
And also we're also part of Magento, which is in Germany. It's also open source community thing to strengthen the developer community around it. And we also do this whole hackathon things, and we try to improve the import then with our own extension, because it was too hard to contribute actually, and it's still there. So fast, simple import 2 helps to get the hassle out of the import then. That was our way of contributing, but I think there's been a lot of improvement, and we're definitely looking into not only trying to contribute to the core. So the idea we're following right now is to be a bit faster than the core thing, and think about how we could improve even more, and then hopefully it gets adapted to the core, to the processes of marketplace quality and so on. That's actually what we're trying to achieve.
Nice. Yeah, because that's how, previous to the real strong community engineering stuff, that's how it was done. It was like you had to do it yourself. You had to get in there, build your own extension, your own API layer. I did that with MageMail, and that was your only choice. And had community engineering been as strong as it is now, a couple of years ago, when you were in there, you wouldn't have been able to contribute and probably would have been able to fix quite a few things. So it's there now. It's there going forward. So it's really powerful. Um, what about you guys, Thien-Lan? Have you guys had any time to contribute to? Obviously, you're not going to contribute to the checkout, probably. But any other areas of contribution that have made sense to look at?
I'm not sure actually. I have to ask Anton. He does stuff on his own, he's in his own bubble. He contributes, and then I contribute on the other side more on the marketing, events, blogging. Talking about Magento.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, I was thinking about, because you're mentioning fashion and stuff like that, and I was thinking about the royal wedding. Did you watch that? Were you?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Of course I did.
Yeah, my wife was super into it. What did you think?
Actually, it was quite funny because it was during a weekend where I had to go back to France, and I met up with so we were 46. So we were 10 families, and mostly from my business school. So it was like a big reunion. But in between, the social activities, we just looked at watched TV and looked at magazines and commented a little bit, but didn't spend much time on that. And then, but yeah, the dress was really nice and very, how do you say that? Contemporary and also quite simple and classy. And it was nice. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How do you think, you're really into luxury fashion, and you've worked at a bunch of different companies, seen different e-commerce platforms, I'm sure. How do you think, obviously fashion is a big vertical in the Magento space. How do you think Magento stacks up to other platforms, specifically in that vertical?
It's a good question, but so when we look at our customers, there are lots of fashion brands and fashion designers from all over the world, and when I look at them all, you can see kind of a template of how you display luxury products. It's always white background and pretty clean. So, and then once there's a template, it's quite easy to, replicate and then just apply your brand to that. So, we've got quite nice brands from the UK, like Matthew Williamson. We've got lots from Italy, because Tribu is one of our big partners. So, they did Roberto Cavalli, for example, which is quite nice. In Spain, we have Adolfo Dominguez. And recently, we had Oscar de la Renta as a customer. So that's pretty cool. And it seems to work quite well for them.
That's cool. None of the developer audience knows anything about any of these people. These are like people that are a big deal, right, in the fashion space.
Yeah. So it's high-end brands, but also there are tons of smaller brands, unknown brands or cheaper brands, and I guess the fact that Magento is quite standardized and off the shelf, is very easy for them to implement.
Nice. Awesome. Shoot. Benno, what's going on with you? What are you guys focused on these days overall?
Right now, besides building and improving our extension and making it work better with Magento 2.3 or whatever comes our way, we're also now doing a bit more of consulting regarding the bigger picture of catalog management, PIM requirements, engineering. If it's not really our solution, we try to help clients in this field, because we as a company have seen like roughly 400 or something different Magento installations which do catalog management very well. So they approach to us if they want to improve their process. So we thought it's a good idea to also take this opportunity and help others who are not there to improve. So that's actually something. And as I said already, we're also looking at other e-commerce systems just to not put all the eggs in one basket actually. So
Right.
it's not maybe it's not the coolest thing to do, but still you see the need for it, and we have the demand, and we try to keep up with it. But we're a small team, so we're really focused on what we do, and that's where we have our expertise. We're not into front end too much or something like that. But when it comes to, for example, fashion and what you need, for example, as a store owner to deliver all the products into various channels, this is really challenging for them, because every channel, if we're talking about Germany, Zalando or About You or something like that, those are the marketplaces when it comes to fashion. It's not Amazon or something, because they don't do it very well. And they have all really strict requirements when it comes to pictures, and you don't want to cannibalize your content too much. So you have to write content twice somehow. So for one channel, that would be the marketplace, and the other would be your own store. And this is tough for them as well. And when it comes to returns, which is one of the biggest challenges when it comes to fashion, you see that also really good product description decreases the revenue, the returns. Sorry,
that wouldn't be good.
That would be not a really good thing. But you see that if you, for example, introduce video content to show like these catwalk videos, which are showing up nowadays, this really improves conversion and also decreases returns. And the next thing is what you also see, this Hollow Man pictures of garments are slipping away somehow. So you have model shoots where you give more information about the fitting and what the model wears regularly, or you have comparison charts between our brand, like I have no idea, Pierre Cardin or whatever, is compared to Mango A34 or something like that. The recommendations on that site are things challenging in the catalog management field, and those are things we do for them. Or if you see, like we have client Plant Sports Group, they onboard 1,000 new products per week. Per week. It's that. Like they have so many products, and they have to do the shooting, and they have to also somehow get all the old seasons out of the warehouse. So they have to do promotions around it and so on. This is a challenging task, and this is where we get into the game and try to help them improve.
It's really interesting, man. I love how knowledgeable you are on everything catalog related. Does Adobe have anything in a PIM category? I know they have digital asset management, content management.
So from what I know as of today is they have this experience suite and also this digital asset management, and they are connected to a lot of PIMs. This is a PIM is product information, and digital asset is called DAM or DAM, digital asset management. And if you have a look, for example, at the famous open source Hydra PIM solution, they are not really up to DAM. They are open to get connected to another DAM, and I think that's where Adobe gets in touch with them. But I don't know of a really good PIM solution on Adobe side actually, but there should be one, I guess. I will do my homework and find out for the next time.
There's an opportunity. Yeah, it's funny because the whole discussion around Magento being acquired was it fills that commerce gap in Adobe suite, and they don't have a PIM. Probably something to do there.
Maybe they have one, but it's not widespread then.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be my guess.
Yeah. That's interesting. Awesome. Well, hey guys, anything else we want to talk about? Anything else we want to touch on before we wrap up?
So I really
Anything
would
else?
love to invite everybody to visit our booth at Magento Netherlands. Big shout out to Guido for organizing such a great event. And we see e-commerceaholic and also Rebecca there as hosts of the show. So it will be kind of nice to see also guys from the States coming up and also like playing a big role there. And
Yeah.
that's thing. And
That's
I want
going to be
say,
interesting.
and I want to say thank you to Philip Jackson for this nice tweet yesterday regarding me. And
Oh,
so I was just making fun. Sorry, it's an insider. You can look it up on Twitter.
It's an inside joke. You got to be on the inside to get that one. Male model, Benno Lipert.
Yeah, kind of. I don't
what Kalen tried to take that for him.
You saw that.
So what he did.
What do you guys think about having TJ and Rebecca out there at Magento Netherlands, having an American? Well, Rebecca's not American, but TJ's very American.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting.
So it will be great. And beside Magento, one other love we share, at least with Rebecca, are gin and tonics. So
Gotcha.
I did a vacation to the Azores while everybody else was sitting in the desert and watching Imagine keynotes. And I took some pineapple gin with me. And I'm really happy to taste it together with them.
Nice. You know what I totally forgot to mention? Today's GDPR day, right?
It is.
The day it landed. Oh my gosh. Happy GDPR day, you guys.
Exactly. Happy GDPR day to you too.
Or unhappy GDPR day, as the case may
What's
be.
your name again?
I can't tell you that. It's funny with all the emails that have gone out, everybody getting annoyed by all the privacy emails. You know, it's the law of unintended consequences, right? GDPR is supposed to cause less emails to go out. I had somebody ask me today, what's your policy on GDPR? And I was like, well, I haven't changed my any policy. I'm waiting to see sort of what standards emerge. So I was like, I haven't really done anything yet, but let me know if there's anything you're looking for in particular. Anyways, so what have you guys done around GDPR, starting with Thien-Lan?
So the main question is how is GDPR impacting your checkout? And a lot of people are panicking and they're like, oh, how do I need to configure my one-step checkout so it's compliant, or is it compliant? And people think that we capture the data and we're processing payments, but we're not. So we are not data processors. We are just the interface, and we are not the data controllers. So the merchant is the one who chooses which field they want to capture. So we're just the interface. But the only thing that you can change in your one-step checkout or in your checkout is, those fields where they say you pre-tick the box for, I want to receive newsletters and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what you can change in your checkout. But apart from that, we are not a data processor. We're not a data controller. So
got it.
Yeah, you should be fine.
And you're not a lawyer. You got to remember to say that.
So actually, it's quite funny because Anton...
You are a lawyer.
No, not me. Anton, our M2 developer, he has a law degree.
Huh.
What?
Yeah. So our team is pretty amazing. We're all like, a bit older than average, and we all have like a whole life before one-step checkout. So he has a law degree, so you can, throw at him lots of stuff and he would read it. And also Eskil, he's very, very thorough, and he goes into all the fine prints and stuff. So he got the translation of GDPR. It was 88 pages in Norwegian. He skimmed through it, and, he's going to make all our processes pretty amazing around that, because there are lots of questions also around, agencies who say, oh, but if I give you access to my clients to fix some stuff, how do we deal with that? And so, the team came up with some great processes, simple things that will cover a lot. And very lucky to have them, because I'm super bad with the
That's Yeah, that's really interesting. I'm curious what those processes look like, because that's an interesting issue when you're getting access, if you're getting access to database. I
So
don't know how much
probably
detail
some,
you can go into.
yeah, so probably something like, NDAs or general, general, agreements that would say, only use this data and only perform this task for the sake of your parameter. So stuff like
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you just do an NDA before you
Type of
get access.
agreement. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Have you changed is your default setting with one-step checkout, is the newsletter box ticked?
I don't think so.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
so you're
Well,
fine
it's a
there.
yes and no, so
Yeah. So it defaults to no.
I need to check that, but yeah, probably is.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Benno, what are you guys running into around GDPR?
Oh, we had a lot of work to do. Actually, the last 2 months have taken us quite busy implementing GDPR for us as well, because we're a data processor. We're not talking about personal data in general, but since we have users, we have like 600 users active per day, and those are working with our services and are showing up in logs. Even we don't collect user information, it's all hashed, but in the end, those are users as well, and they could also request which information do we have stored for them and so on. So we had to ensure that we list all the processes and what would happen if we want to delete and so on. And still we take some choices, and I'm pretty confident with them, but I'm not sure about all of them. So we see in the future actually. And also we have lots of clients also from the extension developer network. One of them was Sonia, who's a master as well, and they do have a client or they operate a camper shop, space
Oh
camper
yeah, I was
shop.
talking to her about this. Yeah,
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 yeah.
and they have YouTube videos in their content description, and so she had to replace the URL of all those product descriptions, and she did it with Copy today, and it was like a matter of seconds compared to whatever there is, and there wouldn't have been another way to do this with Magento or whatever there is. So that
Wow.
was cool, and also other clients did this a couple of weeks ago already. So yeah, that was my touch points with GDPR. And I must honestly say that we spent like last night until 11 or something to publish things live, cookie, privacy policy, and so on, whatever there
Fun
is.
times. Fun times. By the way, they just gave me a heads up. TJ just went live with Matt Assay of Adobe.
yeah, we were supposed to warm up the room, right?
Yeah.
Matt.
So this is probably a good time to wrap up. Thanks everybody for joining us, and have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.
Cool, thanks.
Bye. Thanks for.